Their impudence is a terrifying spectacle, even more so when her presence remains utterly concealed. Despite her immense stature, the Ildarba clan's abilities originated the proverb. A mighty warrior is most formidable alone, for they possess the blood of gods. This explains why Sadiah currently stands as the solitary, most powerful combatant in the clan's chronicles. However, mere moments after uttering those words, she crumples beneath the burden of her existence, ill-suited for this mortal realm. Only by sacrificing something precious can she wield her potent abilities. Mord consoles her, assuring her well-being, aiding Kell in repelling the relentless onslaught. Meanwhile, he devises a cunning plan to relentlessly pummel the Wolfman until his spirit departs its corporeal form. After all, when has brute force not triumphed over intellect? The Bernus blood grants the recipient unparalleled resilience, rivaling the unyielding hardness of weaponry. And the divine blood of this lupin creature bestows upon him lightning-fast reflexes, a double-edged sword capable of immense devastation, yet rendering him susceptible to the perilous Thornwood Forest. This peculiar ability ensnares its victim using their own impulsive actions. A harsh reminder to never solely depend on commonplace techniques. When one possesses unique and unconventional methods, the entrapped Wolfman's vital points are exposed, and he endures a relentless flurry of blows, culminating in a single, catastrophic detonation, known as Void Smash. A devastating delayed strike that concentrates energy before erupting, resulting in a second shower of human remains. Mord concludes his grim task, while Sadiah and Kell eradicate the remaining soldiers through a combination of tranquilizing magic and explosive assaults. He then directs his attention to the petrified mage, frozen in terror, unable to even twitch. He eliminates her due to a perilous predicament, a curse afflicting Silver Blood members, transforming them into monstrous beings should they divulge sensitive information. A few superfluous panels of combat follow. Kell possesses knowledge of the Silver Blood, owing to his high-ranking position within the White Demon Dominion. However, Mord's profound understanding of them unsettles him, particularly the fabrication that a fragment of divine blood granted him. Omniscience. Yet, Sadia's unwavering belief reinforces his deception, as he asserts that precognitive abilities are relics of the past, implying Kell may be unaware. He then abruptly shifts the conversation by bestowing upon Kell the ginger-haired warrior's blade, a clever maneuver that diverts Kell's focus, because his concentration span rivals that of a mere infant. They incinerate the mountain of corpses utilizing Sadiah's fiery power, and obliterate any lingering evidence with her celestial magic. Such feats are within her capabilities, because she is fundamentally distinct from contemporary mortals. Unlike the bygone mythical era, present-day mortals must disseminate magical knowledge through nations, rendering its application less potent. Resolving this predicament, she turns to Mord to inquire about his desired compensation for her rescue. He requests the accursed infernal blade she has been safeguarding, but because his knowledge is omniscient, encompassing the intricate code, the potent seal, and the malevolent entity trapped within, he resolves to project his consciousness into the weapon itself, to vanquish the diabolic soul. An ordinary individual would succumb to the blade's seductive allure of power and jeopardize everything, but Mord is an exceptionally resilient individual, quite literally in numerous aspects. However, this is only feasible now, because over time, the soul has become enfeebled, rendering the curse easier to dispel. And Aiden accomplished precisely that. Moreover, he needs to amass achievements to ascend to the next tier of divine blood, its liberated state. Feats of legendary proportions, spoken of for generations to come. This is but the initial stride toward divinity. Today's triumph over 3 level 2 divine blood users marks the commencement of his journey to godhood. And with the demon Lord Vigilance residing within the sword, he who annihilated the entire giant race, he can advance even further. Observe. Daya then projects his consciousness into the sword at Aiden's behest, and instantly begins clamoring for the slumbering demon, like the irksome offspring of a boisterous relative. This elicits a fittingly harsh response from Vigilance, as he readies himself to obliterate the intruder. He has been biding his time for an eternity. Ian's passing since his initial endeavor to resolve this ancient conflict. His first gambit, presenting a lucrative proposition to Mord, an irresistible pact promising dominion over the entire globe, fueled by avarice. A power that flawlessly fulfills every longing, every whispered ambition. Maris, the sovereign of godkins, transcending a pantheon of lesser deities, forged a blade-shaped sigil to imprison the malevolent Vicolus. By immolating his own brethren, this demon lord presented an unparalleled challenge, surpassing all other entities in his formidable might. Confining him was deemed a divine feat, a testament to celestial power. Vicolus remains oblivious to the divine lineage coursing through Mord's veins, yet he yearns to forge a pact with him, seeking liberation from his temporal prison. His ultimate objective, to usurp Maris, utilizing Mord's form to claim sovereignty over the mortal realm as its legitimate infernal overlord. However, such potent illusions hold no sway over Mord, particularly since he is privy to Vicolus's true ambition, to reclaim his corporeal form. But that physical vessel has long since ceased to be, for when a body remains unoccupied, other demons often violently inhabit it, ripping it asunder in the process. This leaves the soul untethered and ultimately results in its complete obliteration. This revelation deeply perturbs Vigorous' psyche. He had long awaited such a prospect, yet he's informed it was all for naught. This plunges him into a state of vehement denial as he threatens to execute Mord for his perceived deception. Surprisingly, Mord doesn't immediately retaliate with force. Instead, he proposes validation of his claim. By surrendering his own form to the demon lord, he wagers his existence on the actuality of the body's vanishing. Vigorous consents and initiates the ordeal, assuming the guise of a grim reaper. He binds Mord within the confines of a dark magic circle. He grants Mord a final chance to relinquish his arrogance and confess the truth, a truth Mord seemingly already possessed. It appears Mord had been forthright all along. The demon lord had indeed observed Mord's body utterly, mangled by troublesome demons, shattering his psyche, the sheer weight of an unwelcome revelation. After eons of enduring patience, completely dismantles Vicolus's mental resilience, reducing the formidable demon lord to the insignificance of an insect, who is subsequently crushed, and the curse is finally dispelled. Back within the forest's embrace, Kel tests the newfound sword, attempting to lay claim to it, but he is swiftly rebuffed by Mord, who informs him the blade already has an owner. It's unwise to discard a plaything, Mord cautions, acquired merely an hour prior for a newer model. Mord inquires about Cedia's future intentions, now devoid of any ties to her past, or rather, her entire existence. She resolves to remain, until Mord divulges that Maris yet lives, concealed within the silver blood. This presents an opportunity for retribution. The revelation is difficult to process, considering the significant transformations between the mythical era and the present. It's plausible that something transpired to grant him such an extended lifespan, though one can only speculate how profoundly changed he must now be. However, this revelation only solidifies her determination, infusing her existence with renewed purpose. In a realm where she may have felt alienated, she must still confine herself within the boundaries of time before she ascends back to the celestial heavens. Thus, she summons colossal portals, gateways to the abyss of an infernal realm, and incarcerates herself within, entrusting the key to Mord, so that he may liberate her when he confronts Maris, for she possesses the might to vanquish deities. Now, the protracted saga of vengeance reaches a temporary cessation. Meanwhile, within the Silverblood's fortress, Maris derides the situation. He senses his fragmented essence being coalesced by Mord, which provides him with solace, knowing he's spared the arduous task of reclaiming his power. Ironically, a deity of such longevity possesses remarkably poor judgment. He willingly opted to retrieve his belongings when Mord, of all individuals, acquired them, while saturating himself with blood. In anticipation of the moment, he spills it after Mord eviscerates him. Meanwhile, Mord utilizes his otherworldly insights to circumvent an entire ruin by demolishing the precise wall. This feat earns him the accolade of the most proficient RuneScape player, along with several relics from an ancient archmage. The chest holds golden armbands congruent with Kel's spirits, empowering him to manifest fiery ones as well. This is a benefit of being a divine construct. However, Even this advantage is insufficient to prepare Kell for impending events. Thus, Mord concentrates on Kell's training, urging him to refine his command over the diverse spirits he governs, to prevent him from being a mere spectator in forthcoming battles. For his own protection, Mord selects a ring that generates a defensive shield whenever an imminent threat arises, and a bracelet that reserves mana for withdrawal when necessary. But the incursion isn't over yet. The desired world peace resides within the Archmage statue. 3 days later, he conquers the ruin concealed behind a cascade. He not only acquires his 7th world peace, but also a trove of ether stones. These stones are a crucial component for mana. They're utilized in crafting enchanted artifacts for personal use or commerce. The new piece fuses with another in his possession, resulting in a 3-to-2 combination, 1-to-1. An incredibly fortunate event, considering there are potentially hundreds scattered throughout the world. The probability of just 7 forming a group is astronomical. They finally reach their next destination for respite. Mord quickly depletes Kell's funds, faster than Sadia incinerated the corpses. Kell remains unconcerned, as this is a trivial expense compared to the formidable items acquired throughout their expedition. Thus far, he voices his apprehension regarding Mord's intention to journey to the Midwest, all the way from the eastern reaches of the Rutbound Kingdom. Our shrewd protagonist implemented this precaution due to his aversion to handling nuisances, such as the silver blood riffraff. The second matter remains a clandestine detail, one he opts to withhold until they arrive at their intended location. Before Kell can articulate his vexation at perpetually being left in the shadows, he discerns that the patrons within the tavern are persistently gawking and muttering in their direction. This could potentially be attributed to Mord having amassed a mountain of food plates, as if he had been enduring a protracted famine. When one of these inconsequential bystanders approaches them and inquires if they are soldiers of fortune, presuming the 2 men outside the town to be mercenaries, the unremarkable fellow informs them of the emergence of ogres, commencing a fortnight prior. These creatures have been relentlessly tormenting the village inhabitants, leaving them utterly powerless to repel the menacing threat. They did, however, manage to vanquish one through overwhelming numbers, but the ogre's counterattack was far more brutal, resulting in a multitude of fatalities. Seemingly from thin air, an enigmatic figure materialized and proposed assistance to the villagers, vowing to vanquish the ogres with effortless ease. However, on this critical day, he has vanished, as he failed to return by his customary hour before sunset. Mord is consumed by curiosity about this individual. Upon hearing the depiction of the mysterious figure, light brown hair, tall and powerfully built like Mord himself, and wielding a colossal 2-handed greatsword, the two embark on a quest to locate this man. They stumble upon a minor demonic incursion, with the butchered remains of numerous demons scattered across the ground. The demonic invasion remains incomplete, which explains the village's current safety. Therefore, Kell surmises it must be a bird, a lone knight skillfully handling the chaos, an anomaly for a seasoned combatant. Yet, not entirely improbable, as bare-handed fighting is a chosen method. Mord surmises he pursues Ryan, due to parallel incidents within the novel's narrative. Thus, he must now be nearing the war god's relic. But first, they must overcome this grotesque, demonic corruption. A tremor shattered the earth, exposing the remnants beneath. Decayed since the demonization dungeon's genesis. All of this is foreign to Mord, for Ryan's dungeon journey lacks documentation. Forgetfulness is an unlikely explanation. Seizing this fortunate turn, he plunges into the abyss. Meanwhile, within the dungeon's depths, encircled by a horde of undead, a fallen warrior, imbued with sacred blood, lies defeated, his blade shattered. Yet his resolve remains, determined to see this conflict through. Until vanquished, these undead adversaries are remnants of the formidable Byrna's Legion. Truly formidable, they are a force too potent for a lone warrior to overcome. And possessing the capacity for speech, they present a challenge far more intricate to confront. Incapable of summoning the requisite mana, The presumed Ryan reverts to his original state, yet remains resolute, embracing a valiant death in combat. However, his noble demise is postponed for future encounters, as a sudden azure thunderbolt obliterates the Byrna's undead. In a fleeting moment, all on the battlefield are left, utterly astonished by this unexpected turn of events. It appears these undead were mere marionettes, manipulated by an entity from the infernal realm. Mord deems it prudent to remain silent and swiftly eradicate these insignificant foes. The undead harbor a yearning for destruction, believing their skeletal forms and endless regeneration will grant them the power to vanquish Mord. But this formidable warrior possesses techniques to subdue adversaries, possessing even the most peculiar